Hey, good morning there, folks. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of walleye fishing, but it's going to be focused more on finding the fish. We had a storm blow through here a couple days ago and it moved the fish around and not sure where they're at. Some friends of mine that fish all the time can't find them in the usual places, and so we're going to talk more about navigating, what to look for on the charts, play around with some depths, different spoons, baits, things like that. So stay tuned and I'll see you out on the water. It's the middle of August, so the sun's coming up fully about 6:30. It's about 6:15 right now, so we're getting a little bit of that early morning light. Trying to get a jump start on the day to see if we can find those walleye. I got a spot picked out onto the lake, so it's just going to be a few minute trip. And we're going to set up a route in a direction on a couple contour lines. That's the plan, and then we'll see if we can find them. The gear for today is going to be dipsy divers, jets, worm harnesses, spoons. I'm going to try some larger spoons and some smaller ones. We'll see if we can figure that out. All right, folks, so what we're looking for here, as you can see, we're in 30 some foot of water. That's what we're looking for. Some of these deeper arches down here on the bottom. You can see on my chart here, I've caught fish over here, I've caught fish here at like various lines. I've caught fish, you know, quite a bit of places. What we're going to try today is I'm going to follow these contour lines here. So let's make this a little bigger. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to create a line, and I'm going to come down this contour line right here. And I'm going to try to come across this contour line here for today. And that's going to be the plan. All right, for this navigation part, what we're going to do, I got the trolling motor down. And so I'm going to pick a waypoint here. And I'm going to say navigate to, go to, and it should ask me to engage the trolling motor. And I'm going to say yes. And we're going to switch over to my trolling mode, and you'll see down here, especially on the Garmin Kraken with a Garmin interface, it's got it there. Now I got to put the prop on. We're going to set that to like 5 or 6, turn the prop on, and then over here I got to put my engine in trolling mode. Too far. There we go. Put it in gear, and then when I hit enter, you can see that it has trolling active. Now, not all motors have this. If you have a kicker motor or some other way to keep moving, this is basically how you got to do it. So what I'm shooting for is that today I want to go about 2.6, 2.7 miles an hour. So we're going a little bit slow, and I don't want to use up my trolling motor a whole lot. So that's just, remember, for keeping this pointed in the correct direction. It's acting as a rudder, but I don't want to use it as my primary propulsion. And so for that, we're going to need to bump up this a little bit. So on mine, we can do that, and then we get to see where we're at here. Looks like there's some arches and some fish down there at about this 23, 24 range. So we're going to want to go down to about 20 to 25 on the setup today. And right now we're on a contour. Like I said, we're going to move up here. And I just picked a spot somewhere up here. We're going to do this line first, and then we're going to go that way, because I'm marking quite a bit of fish down here. So we're going to try that for now. All right, on the setup here, got this going. Get this one down, get this ready. Get this outside rod here. We're going to run a Jet 40 on this one, I think, today. So that's going to be on this inside rod. So that'll be down like that. So let's get that Jet 40 going. Stretch out that rod. Get this off. All right. Let's see. I think I got some spoons over here. Yep. We're gonna run this white one. I forget what this one's called, but this is what we're running today. All right, let's go take a look at the chart and see where everything's at. All right, it looks like they're down here in this 23. So we're gonna wanna go about 21, 22. And this is my updated chart here. So on the True Trip Jet 40, we want to let it out 51 to get down to 22. All right, that's pretty tight. All right, I think that's a little tight, but we'll go with it for now and see how it works. All right, so 51. Remember to reel this up, reset your counter, and let it out. Jet 40s have a little bit of an issue pulling. Sometimes the clicker will trip them prematurely. All right, we'll deal with the worm harness last. Let's get this dipsy set up. Reel it up to about a foot, reset your counter, and let's get this out there. Nothing on the 40 over there yet. All right, this isn't set right down here. That's set too much forward, so to do this on these Cisco rods, you just lift it up and reset it. All right, and we're gonna put the clicker on, remember, for that, so it doesn't get all twisted and tangled. Sometimes the dipsy can get ahead of the blade and it'll turn like this, and that's why it gets all bungled. So you wanna try to use the clicker as much as possible. All right, I got it at 83, so we're a little deeper. That's all right. All right, and this is that True Trip 50. We're gonna run a worm harness on this thing today. And again, for today, this is more about finding the fish. So navigating around and trying to figure out where they are, that's the ticket for today. What the frick happened here? And I'm snagged on my shorts. All right, there we go. Now we're cooking with fire. Let's go. Let's find a volunteer of the day for the worms. Now, I know I keep saying this, but I did not wash the worms today because, one, I didn't have time and I ran out. So this might be a little bit of a mess today. Make sure your worm is on there correctly. You don't want it bunched up. You want to stretch it out a bit, because you want this thing to be nice and straight in the water. See, this is why the whole washing the worm thing becomes a mess. So with this worm bucket, I'm just going to keep this towel in here, wipe it off before I get it in the boat. All right, let's get this in the water. Find out. Oh, there's a nice sunrise. 26. So we're going to want to go, you can see down here, they're down here for sure, right there. So we want to go, that's about 26 foot to 30 foot. So we're going to want to go 28 or so. So that's going to be 40, nope, on the Jet 50 here. 25 to 28, let's say 27. We're gonna go 43 on the Jet 50 with this worm harness. Okay, reel it up. Hit the button. clear it and get this in the water. Now the 50 pulls a little more, so you can use the clicker. All right, we got our rods in the water. No bites yet. Got the Jet 40 on this side, the Jet 50 on the inside with a worm harness, and a Dipsy diver with a 3 setting out here on the outside. Now that looks like a fish there. See the tip? That's a fish. Turn the clicker off. Let's see if we got something here. I don't know. I don't feel anything. If it is, it's small. Or he came off. Nope, came off. But that was definitely tripped. All right, I don't know what that was, but we'll set it back down. When you have an inside rod like this with the Dipsy, you got to make sure that you put this thing out and wait for it to plane out. You can see it in the water there going out. That hook on that line will catch this inner one, and then you'll be in a big tangle. So definitely keep an eye on how that planes out from the boat. So it's been a few minutes since I put everything out. We haven't got a bite yet, but what I'm going to do is, we're in 37 foot of water here. I'm going to drop down to about 27. So what that means is on the 50 we got to go to 43, on the 40 67. So let's do that. So on the 50 I'm already at 43, so we're good there. But on the 40 I'm showing 51, so I'm going to go to 67, take that down to 27 foot. We're going to go down a little deeper, see if the fish are down there. And the Dipsy I got set at 80, which is going to give us 22, 23, 24 here in the middle is split the difference. Yeah, we're going to keep that at 80 on the Dipsy. All right, you can see that the fish are definitely at that 27 foot line or so. Just gotta get them to bite on something. All right, so one thing that I'm going to adjust here, you can see I'm running at 2.4 on the speed. We're going to bump that up, see if speed is the factor here. So let's try to get that up to 2.6, 2.7. I think I mentioned that earlier. My point is we're running too slow. There we go. See if they want things a little bit faster today. Actually, let's go a little bit more. I'm going to start super quick today and then we'll back it up. All right, so we made a little bit of a course adjustment. We haven't picked up anything yet. I'm going to run down this contour line like I talked about earlier. We're going to go down to there, and then we're going to head over to here, and then we're going to circle back and come down this other contour line over there. So right now we made the first course adjustment to see if we can get some fish. Been fishing for 25 minutes or so and we haven't even had a bite. So definitely gonna try to pick them up today, but like I said earlier, we're gonna grind through it, see if we can find them. All right, folks, so this Jet 40, it's been a little while, nothing happening there. I took off that blade that I had before. I'm gonna put on a little NASCAR here, tried and true, see if we can trigger something there. All right, let's see if we can get it done with that. Gonna check this worm harness here. This hasn't done much of anything either. Let's see what we got going here. Nope, that all still looks good. Yeah, we'll put it at 30. Let's get it down there. So we'll do 50 on this. Still nothing out here, guys. I don't know what the deal is. They definitely have moved. This is where I've caught fish before recently, and they're not here, or they're here and they're not biting. So something we gotta have to figure out. All right, folks, looks like we got a bite here on NASCAR that I switched over. Let's see what this is. And guess what? I'll give you 2 guesses and you're only gonna need 1. I don't have the net ready. Again. And so when you're out here by yourself, this is the kind of shit you got to deal with. All right, see if we can get this done. Hope I don't lose them. All right. Oh, and he come off. See, that's the bullshit that you got to deal with. I finally find a fish, and because I don't have the net going, he's gone. All right, back at it. Remember, folks, sheephead and white bass don't come off. While I do, I got a hit on the worm harness here. Let's see what we got. Feels like something, unless it didn't trip. Yep, there's something on there. And he came off. That was a walleye, folks. I saw him just before he came off. So we got 2 bites here, 2 walleye. So I'm gonna count that as a mark. We had 2 quick bites there in this spot. One on NASCAR that I lost, and then one that I saw here come up to the surface was definitely a walleye. So again, we're not about necessarily catching today, we're more about finding. As long as I can figure out if they're walleye, that's good enough for me for today. All right, that's a good sign. Let's keep moving. Yeah, not only with the net not being ready, I forgot my sunglasses. Mess. I'm a mess this morning. Yeah. All right, I gave that Badmo blade a good run here. So we're gonna switch that one out for something else. A chicken wing over here. Maybe that one there. Let's see, I got NASCAR out on that one. I got a white blade on the worm harness. So yeah, this one's kind of like the one that I have with that Badmo blade. So let's go with something completely different and see if that triggers anything. I don't know. We're gonna go all for it. Monkey Puke hasn't done a whole lot here, so let's see what we can do with that. All right, I saw a hit on this Dipsy, this outside Dipsy that we switched to Monkey Puke. I don't know if there's anything on it, but I definitely saw a hit and it tripped. Nope, doesn't look like there's anything on it. But it hammered down like that and tripped it. So some life down there, but we're just not getting them in the boat today. I haven't been filming a whole lot here today because 1, we don't have anything in the boat yet, and 2, I'm marking tons of fish. I just can't get them to bite on anything. I've switched different spoons, different depths, different speeds. Yeah, haven't been able to trigger anything today. It's a beautiful day out here, walleye chop if you want to call it that. I actually had a couple that I was reeling in and lost them, but I didn't film it until I get something in the boat. All right, folks, we got a hit here on NASCAR. I don't know what it is yet. Oh, there we go. And that's a walleye, folks. Excellent. All right. That's a keeper walleye, folks. Let's get that marked. So what I did here when I wasn't filming, I actually switched directions, not going down to the original plan that I had. When you're out here doing this sort of thing, you got to switch it up, because guess what? If you can't pick them up a certain way, then change tactics. And that's what we did. So there's a keeper one. He's probably about 16, 17. Gonna let this guy go. Get him back in. What I will mention here is, during that downtime where we weren't really catching anything, I dropped these all down to about 32 foot. So that means on a Jet 40, we're gonna be down about 85. So we're gonna put this NASCAR one back out, see if we can pick up another one. So I talked on a previous video, real briefly, that I bought one of these new plates to put on that side of the boat. And what you just saw when I caught that walleye on that side of the boat, I had to catch the walleye, then I had to come over here and get the pliers and the gripper from this side of the boat, then walk back over here and do the walleye. So what I'm planning to do is I'm going to mount this plate under this one right here, and then I'm going to be able to keep some tools over here on this side. That way I'm not walking back and forth whenever I have to catch a fish, whether it's on this side or that side. And then if you have somebody with you catching fish, they're not going back and forth and you're not bumping into each other in the back of the boat. This is the challenge you have with a smaller boat, is there's not a lot of room. This is a pass-through and this is a pass-through, and so you find yourself doing laps like this. It's going around, person going this way, you're going that way, to try to get to your gear over on one side. So logistically, this makes sense. It's about $25 or $30 from Cisco. It's a little bit of a science project to take this apart and put this on, but once we get it there, I think it's going to help out a lot. I don't know if I mentioned this in the past, but I'll mention it now. When you're fishing with a worm harness, you got to check them every once in a great while. You want to check your rods regardless, about every 15 minutes or so, in case you're dragging a small one. But on the worm harness, if you miss the strike, they could very easily steal your worm, and you're fishing with an empty hook. So you definitely want to check these maybe a little bit more frequently. And it looks like I got everything going on there. But you know what? That worm looks like he's had it. We're gonna switch him out, put on a nice new one. This thing's been on since I started, so we'll donate that one to the lake. Now you'll notice that I'm putting this worm on over the bucket because I don't want to get this black shit all over the boat. All right, I didn't see this thing trip, but you kind of get a feel for how much a Jet 40 bends the rod, and this seemed a hell of a lot more than that. I think we got a fish on. Let's see what we got. Yep, I can feel them on there. Candidate walleye. All right, that's definitely a keeper. Yeah, if you want to go in there, buddy, feel free to do so. We're not keeping you today. All right. It's a small one, but he's probably 15. Maybe 16. Send him back. Make a mark there. All right, picked up a few on this run. That first line, we didn't really get much of anything for quite a while. It's 8:30, so I've been out here for what, two hours plus. That's the second one in the boat. We missed about 4, but the last couple have been in the last 15 minutes. So definitely a better stretch of water as far as the bite goes. So this is chicken wing. This is what it looks like. This is the one we're gonna go with right here. And I don't know if you noticed, I didn't really talk about it, but it is something that I do as a pattern. Whenever I use a spoon, I'll put it in a cup holder back here for the ones that I used. And so that tells me what hasn't been working at the end of the day. And the ones on the rods are the ones that I was catching fish on. So that's just a little habit that I got into to try to track what's working, what's not working. Something to keep in mind while you're out here. It's a lot of times it's the little things. And I don't know if you can see it here in the light, but this is it has a what's called a UV sticker on it. So there's regular chicken wing, which looks something like this right here, and then there's this one's a hammered version of that, but this one actually has a UV sticker on it. So just different variations on a theme when you're buying these. Sometimes it matters, sometimes it don't. All right, while we're waiting for the fish to bite, like I talked about earlier, we're going to be trying to figure out where they're at. I've picked up a few here and there, about 6 so far in a couple hours. Not the greatest, but not terrible. And what we're doing is, I just marked a spot here where I kind of caught some before, but you can see here in this area down here, I've caught some over here where this giant hump is, or swirl or contour. So what I'm going to do is when we get to the end here in about half a mile, I'm going to put a navigation point over here, and we're going to kind of come over across that contour, working our way over to that line where you see where I've caught a ton of fish. So I'm going to move over to here, come across that contour, and go over that way, which is south. All right, we're gonna see if we can pick some up right there, but that's what you want to look for when you're out here navigating. You want to look for some of these contours. They don't have to be as obvious as this one. They could be super subtle, but that's where I found that I catch fish, not out here on the flat like this where there's, yeah, I've caught one out there, but I don't know what he was doing out there in the middle of nowhere. But the idea is you want to try to find some of these contours, and that's where you'll pick up more of the fish. All right, we just had a big hit here on NASCAR again. 85 down on the True Trip 40. That's about 32 feet-ish. Nothing serious on here. I don't think he realizes he's hooked yet. Let's get him in here and see what we got. Something on there. Now, one thing to note, how do I know something's on there? It's coming towards the back of the boat. All right, if it's not coming in towards the back of the boat here, you probably don't have anything on there. All right, and this is definitely something you don't want to have. All right, this is a white bass. So if we're getting into the white bass, just take note, it's not like you're not going to catch these things every once in a while, but if you're getting into them, that's something you don't want to have happen. You either need to speed up or move. And you'll notice I had to walk all the way over here to the other side of the boat to get the pliers to get this guy off. Again, that's what's going to get solved by putting that tool caddy on this side, is having to trek all the way over there to get rid of a fish, especially one you're not fishing for. All right, I just saw a strike on this 50. Yeah, it's tripped. So if you see a strike like that on a worm harness and you start reeling and it's tripped, you got to reel it in regardless to check your worm. Oh man, I got tons of grass on here. Look at this. Yep. Definitely got to clean that off. Worm looks good. So it looks like something short struck it. Enough for me to see it, but didn't grab the worm. So this is what I was talking about, how if you got a fish on, you can kind of see where the line comes in. This one's coming in pretty straight off the back over to the side. It got tripped, but I don't think there's anything on it, unless it's like super small, and it is super small. And that's another white bass. All right, boys. Either we got to get rid of NASCAR or we're gonna move. Now, one way to kind of do this is grab the lure, grab the spoon, because if you're grabbing your line, one, it can break off. All right, this gives you way more control over the fish. Then you grip it inside here, like so, and then you turn the hook upside down, and off he goes. I didn't even really have to do it. He flipped himself right off the hook. I want to show you the marks that I'm seeing down there. Look at that. That is walleye right there, folks. Pretty big fish, great arches. That's what you're looking for. So I'm checking on chicken wing here on that dipsy in the outside, and haven't seen a strike or anything. I tried to trip this and it's like super heavy. If I'm not able to trip it by giving it a little tug, I might have to adjust it. But this seems like really, really heavy. Hopefully I'm not dragging something. Oh, there you go. Look at this. One, we got some salad on here from the lake. Thank you very little. And two, it's all tangled up. All right, so this is one of the reasons why you got to engage that clicker pretty early, because this can definitely happen. It's got to spin this way. There we go. Oh, got lucky. Look at that. I'm going to stick with that 95 on this outside one.
A few moments later. A few moments later.
Alright, it figures. I'm pulling the rods in and the worm harness gets hammered. Let's see if it's anything worthy of what we're looking for. Oh my goodness, it's a giant walleye. Well, we're not keeping them today, folks. We'll see if we can. I already put the net away. Let's see if we can get this guy up here. All right. Well, just putting all the gear away, we end up with a decent walleye. Let's end on that note. How's that sound? All right, folks. Hopefully, if you get to this part in the video, it wasn't too painful. Yeah, I know at the beginning we said we were going to come searching for them. We found a few. I ended up with about 6 actually keeper walleye, a couple white bass, no sheephead, and a few got off the hook on the reel in. I must have went through a ton of spoons today. Here, let's take a look. I'll show you. Look at that. Whole bottom's covered. So yeah, that's what we went through today to get this bite going. I tried different speeds, different depths, different spoons, but the bite is slow. I don't know if it's just me or that storm that came through or the heat. The water temperature is about 78, so that's a little warm. But here we are mid-August and it just slowed down. So hopefully you got something out of the video. I appreciate you getting this far into it. Enjoy me getting back to the dock. I'll play some music here and I'll see you on the next one.